Hey guys, so this is a story about how recently I was pulled over. I'm gonna say unjustly by a cop, but let me tell you a little bit more about it. So I was driving down a road and it was a few months ago and there had been an ice storm. So for context, around here, when the snowplows come around, they scrape ice off the road and create a bunch of potholes. And I have been driving, or had been driving around these potholes for multiple weeks and knew where they were and could predict how deep they were, all the fun things that you learn when you about tear out the front end of your car the first time you find a pothole. So I was avoiding those potholes, staying in my lane, but kind of going back and forth. And I had pulled up at a red light after a few turns, and there was this police officer beside me and he flashed on his lights. So I looked over, kind of made eye contact. So I rolled down my window and I said, "Can I help you?" And I was expecting him to tell me that, a light was out or I needed to do something. He said, "Ma'am, you were texting while driving." I was like, "I wasn't. What?" And he said, "No, I saw you look down and you were swerving all over the road and you even have a child in your car. And if I was not on the way to a call, I would pull you over right now." And he was wrong, because what actually had happened is I was going around the potholes and knew that that's what I was doing. And when I got to the light, there was no other traffic around me. When I got to the light, I had looked down because I felt something crawling on my leg. I was wearing a pair of shorts. It was not a good time to be doing that, but looked down anyway, so completely innocent there. And my phone was on the other side of the car because I was listening to a podcast. So there's no way I could turn it off when he pseudo pulled me over anyway. So he'd seen me look down. Absolutely. He had seen me swerving all over the road. Sure. Loose interpretation, but sure. I did not have a kiddo in the back of the car with me, but that's okay. And there was another thing that he had said, and I don't remember what it was. And I just thought, no matter what I say in this moment, it's going to look like I'm coming up with a million excuses. And I know none of it's true, but in his perspective, I could absolutely see where it was true. And so my best response in this time was just to say, "You know what? Yes, sir. I'll make sure I don't do it again." And he drove off, and I could tell that he was very angry about something. And, frankly, I'd be quite angry if I saw somebody texting and driving with the kid in the back seat too. So I don't blame him in that, but I'm curious as to how often we do this with our own kids, or we do this with anybody who has less authority than us. We look at them and we go, "You messed up. And I have evidence, and it is clear evidence that you messed up. Let me tell you what it is." And there's really no space to deny it. It's easier just to say, "You know what? You're right. Sure." And I wonder where the power comes into that, because I assume that he drove off feeling like he had just corrected somebody who was wrong, and he felt better about himself and his day. And I drove off feeling ashamed, even though I hadn't done anything wrong, which reinforced that power dynamic. And I went, "You know what? I know that I didn't do anything wrong, but it doesn't make it feel any better to be blamed for something." Gosh, I probably do this to my kids sometimes. I probably look at them and go, "All the evidence points towards your guilt. I know you're wrong. No matter how you explain this to me, you're wrong." And that's where I'm reflecting today. And I've been reflecting on it for a few months now. So my timeline's a little bit skewed. This was probably in March. So somewhere in between that, like, cold weather and being able to wear shorts. So earlier this year sometime. But I wonder how often we do this and how often it's done to us. Just think about it.